Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler, surrounded by the Doctrinaires, the Rebel, Tim Andrews, the Mommy, Autumn Fisher, and the follower, Jared Yamamoto.
Hey, I'm a leader today. It's Friday. I'm ready.
You're leading Friday?
I'm leading Friday.
Well, I had a little bit of a spat off the air before we went on. And I was just telling you, I know I'm out of step here. And I know that the next Democrat debate is going to be in Georgia. But that doesn't make me give a damn about it any more than if it was in Madison, Wisconsin. I do not give a damn. I guess Jared was we got access, and we're going to be in there, we're going to be at a restaurant. Who cares? I mean, okay, no, listen to WSB. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to be as boring as any other debate. It's just going to be a boring debate with too many people on stage that's here. Have they even announced where it's going to be yet?
I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be.
But it'll be a freak show outside, and that's what I want to see.
That's what you want to be a part of.
I don't want to meddle with it. I just want to see it.
Okay. Well,
Come on, get the audio of some of the people that are protesting. That'll be pretty awesome.
Well, we can get that audio anyway. I'm not excited about it. There's something about it's coming here. I don't care. I mean, I don't care if I don't care about something that's happening in where was that last one? Wester Hill, Ohio, or something.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's not going to be.
Town.
Oh, I'm just so excited. Hey, it brings in people. They spend some money at our restaurants.
It's my MLS Cup.
I'm all for. Is it your MLS Cup?
Yeah.
You're going to go there and get yourself arrested.
I am not going to do anything.
You're an internet troll at heart.
Yeah, but this is live people.
Happen.
This is live people.
All right, well,
I have a responsibility. I'm not going to be a jerk.
Well, we shall see. I'm going to
wear my MAGA hat.
Nobody's going to get me in a bad mood because, as Jared knows, there was a sporting event having to do with an Atlanta team last night that went really, really well. Huh?
Yeah.
Trey foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups.
Yeah!
Oh, baby, is he putting on a show?
I know the United win was big, but I know that was only the first game of the NBA season for the Atlanta Hawks, but I'm a Trae Young fan. 38 points. Are we going to meet him today? Are we going down to see him today?
That is the plan right after the show.
Now, these poor NBA players, I don't know why they don't just do series. They're going to play Detroit more times. So you fly up to Detroit, play one game.
Didn't they used to do that?
They did used to, but they decided it wasn't, for some economic reason, they like to mix it up. And we're supposed to be talking with Trae at 1:30 today.
That's right.
And I went to bed last night, and he was just walking off the court in Detroit at like 10:30 or 11. I mean, it's just weird.
Well, at least he'll be happy. He dropped 38. They won.
Are you going down there, or is he coming here?
No, we're going down there. I want to get. I want this guy, Jared Yamamoto. He's always bragging about his game.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to have him. I'll have Trae maybe criticize Jared Yamamoto's game. See, not criticize. I'm sorry, that's the wrong way to look at it. Offer tips.
Coach,
so that
mentor.
That's right, a mentor. That's what we're going to do something about his game and make it better. But I do want to. I know there's a lot of United fans. That was a big game.
Yes,
yesterday.
we look great.
Look great. 2-0, as we say. Hey,
That's right.
I'm catching up
Look
there.
at you.
2-0.
What does nil mean?
Love.
Oh, okay.
You play tennis.
Now I get it. Yeah, thank you.
Why can't people just say zero?
You're in America. Say zero.
But every game has a why in tennis? It's love. Where did that come from?
Love.
Well, the Eastern Conference Finals next Wednesday right here in Atlanta, and there is an opportunity for Atlanta to potentially host the MLS Cup too.
Yeah, that's great. But did you see Trae last night?
Foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups.
Doing the push-ups,
baby, is he putting on a show?
And he got robbed last year when he wasn't made the Rookie of the Year. And he just rolls out, game one, on the road, 38 points. Yes.
I think we still have enough time to make those shirts before we go meet him. The Not My Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, having Doncic, not my rookie. By the way, and I'm going to bring this up with Trey. My idea of a rookie, right? A true rookie, to me, is a guy, it's the first year he's making money playing the sport. That's a true rookie to me. The guy he lost to has been paid since he was 14 years old. Hey, but that's last year. Let's put that behind us. It's a new year.
Trey, foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups. Oh, baby, is he putting on a show?
Launched and got 2 3-pointers from the Detroit Pistons logo in the middle of the floor. All right, let's do this.
Headlines for Friday, October 25th.
Eric, this is Atlanta. We don't barely care about no basketball. I sure as hell don't tune into WSB to hear about no basketball. Well, tune away.
Trey, foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups. Oh, baby, is he putting on a show?
I'm blessed with an audience so large I can just annoy people. We actually have, you know how Trump does his rallies and there's too many people?
So there's overflow.
There's overflow, and there's like 10,000, 20,000 people outside. That's what we have. We have such a large audience now that if a few people get mad because I open up about basketball, it's just like 4 people leave. Okay, we can let 4 people in. So you're actually doing other people a favor by letting them into the family.
Jared holds the
Doctrinaires.
virtual velvet rope.
He does. He decides. He goes out there and says,
All right, you're in. Nope, you're out.
You know what I said? Only the beautiful people. All right, give me the headlines.
The extravagant renderings for a extravagant renderings for a state-of-the-art Atlanta Motor Speedway casino resort complex have finally been unveiled.
You got to see these pictures. I mean, it's a big. Now, first of all, gambling has to be legalized.
Correct.
Another thing, as a motorsports fan, I can tell you that they have to come up with another way to make money. At Atlanta Motor Speedway, they used to have 2 races that were well attended. Then the attendance went down for 2 races. Then they went to 1 race, having trouble getting that thing sold. May not know this, but when the crash happened, NASCAR stopped the individual teams using places to test. Used to be able to make money like that. Joe Gibbs would come to Atlanta Motor Speedway and test for 3 days. That's gone. So, and in order to turn this into, because it's kind of an amusement park, casino.
Oh, it's going to showcase a hotel, condos, timeshare apartments, retail space, restaurants, go-karts, a music venue, water park, and more.
And all of that can work if only one thing happens. Gambling becomes legal in the state of Georgia because no one's going to drive down to those roller coasters unless they can gamble. So I think it's visionary. You know, the world is moving. You got to move with it. That's a big facility out there. Excuse me. I am speaking. Video from the Hill blog. This guy, he goes down there once a year and with all of his Molly friends and watches the EDM Imagine Festival.
The Imagine Festival.
I imagine they make way more money on that than
hands down, there's 50,000
race.
people there over the weekend.
So it's a big facility, and they're doing the right thing by being. You know, I know Ed Clark a little bit. I'm sure when that EDM festival, he just leaves town. Because Ed Clark, the president of Atlanta Motor Speedway, being at an EDM festival would be like Brian Kemp being at an EDM festival.
Wow. This is fun. Hey, they call it Imagine Fest because you have to really imagine hard to appreciate
enjoy
that
the music.
Hey, Governor Kemp, you just want to hug? Can I just hug you, man?
Get away from me, you sweaty weirdo.
You know what? I know I voted for Stacey Abrams,
you're
but
awfully
hey, you know what?
sweaty.
You're great.
Awfully sweaty.
You know what? You've been okay in my book.
Look, I
know
don't
you
want to
stole
make
the
it
election,
illegal, but
you know what? You're great.
I don't want you
come
around.
Here,
Hey, oh, by the way.
Hey, do you have some water?
By the way,
Give some water?
Yeah. Make sure you hydrate.
Yeah, hydrate.
By the way, going back to our conversation about how I'm no more interested in the next Democratic debate being in Georgia than if it was anywhere else. I mean, I have a feeling this is what I think should happen because this is the Democrat primary debate. I think that at the very beginning, have a big splashy opening. You got to grab the people on television, and I think that they should coming. You know how the cool effect where you come out of the stage, like you come up like on that elevator thing. Just Stacey Abrams just rises, just lifted all the way up to the rafters, and just gets a huge round of applause as the greatest politician none of us has ever heard of or really even knows. But wow, what a great cause!
Thanks for being here and celebrating me.
I'm hoping that we can elevate all the voices.
Let's elevate all the voices while we go ahead. That's me.
She's like the lady at the end of the financial commercial.
9.90 PFR. You would vote for me? The hanging chad's not excluded.
Just a standing ovation. Yay! We really don't know who you are, but you're a cause.
And then at the end of the debate, she gets to appoint who the winner was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I think at the end, no matter who, Stacey Abrams, then she comes down back from the rafters and accepts the fact that she has won the debate. Absolutely. If she doesn't win, it was stolen from her, no doubt. All right, what else?
A tense phone conversation between a reporter for the Washington Examiner.
That's a right-wing, I wouldn't say blog. It's
right-leaning.
It's right-leaning. They have good reporting, but the editorial thing is very, very, they're from the right, put it that way.
Yes. A reporter for the Washington Examiner and White House senior counselor Kellyanne Conway, there was a phone conversation between the two that was published. It was actually a voicemail. And
well, no. It was a back and forth. It was what happened was that in the Washington Examiner story, I guess there's a story out there, some rumors that she might be made the new chief of staff.
That's right.
And so the Washington Examiner, who is friendly from the right, in their story, the writer included the fact that her husband, George Conway, is constantly tweeting about what a horrible president Donald Trump is. And then she gets angry with the reporter for putting that in the story, which seems it's perfectly fine to me. I'm sorry. Hey, Kellyanne Conway, we find it fascinating that your husband publicly says the person that you work for is damn near a criminal. I mean, his tweets are heavy duty. He cannot stand the president, and then you are the president's biggest defender. Sorry, Kellyanne Conway. That's an interesting story. You don't control the world, and it is interesting that you are the president's biggest defender, and you're married. The father of your children is publicly one of the president's biggest critics. I'm sorry. You don't have to be a screenplay writer to understand that that's an interesting story.
Here's some of the audio of that.
So I just am wondering why in God's earth you would need to mention anything about George Conway's tweets in an article that talks about me as possibly being chief of staff. Other than it looks to me like there's no original reporting here. You just read Twitter. And other people's stuff, which I guess is why you don't pick up the phone when people call from the White House, because if it's not on Twitter, it's not on cable TV, it's not real.
Oh, so this administration is saying that too many people look at Twitter as some sort of news source. Is that what Trump administration now believes, that Twitter should not be seen as a news force? News source?
It's fine.
What is being said here? Are you off Twitter now?
I think Kelly's going rogue. Kellyanne Conway, you're going rogue. You want that job? Shut up. You want the job? Shut up.
Here's another thing. Do not give a damn how people write their stories. Do your job. Put your head down. You've got a great economy. We basically have peace right now. So we're not seeing stories about our soldiers being slaughtered every day. Focus on what can win the next election. And then after that, don't give a damn. Let the chips fall where they may. You cannot control. See, it's because the Washington Examiner is sort of tilted to the right.
Yeah.
They get this feeling in the White House that they have the right to be editors. That's the whole thing. Oh, we can't count on Fox News anymore. Well, you never should have counted on Fox News. If they gave you a little bit of boost, cool. It never should have been seen as anything that you can count on. Put your head down, do your job, and then when it comes time to run, really get out there running for president again. Just say, hey, we did this, these are our accomplishments, and let the critics have their day, and then the people go and they vote, and they decide, and you just accept it. Boy, life is really simple and boring when you break it down to what it ought to be. The hell does she care that how somebody else writes their stories? They didn't say. See, her criticism is not that the reporter wrote something that wasn't true. She never said it wasn't true. Hey, you call up a reporter and, I don't know, your style. What's the need to put this in there? The only thing you should be worried about is you said something that wasn't true. The fact that your husband is one of your boss's biggest critics is true. Whether a reporter decides to put that in a story or not is, quite frankly, none of your business. And so now they'll cut off the Washington Examiner. You hear this new story that Trump has ordered that all the departments that he has control over in the executive branch, they have to cancel their subscriptions to the New York Times.
Yeah,
and
That's
Washington
right.
Post.
That's right. I don't want that awful newspaper. Fake news in the White House. We don't have birds. We don't need birdcage liners.
Here's the thing that's all emotion. This will have zero effect on anything. It will have zero effect on the Washington Post. It will have zero effect on the New York Times. It will have zero effect on how people perceive the president and the administration. It will have zero effect on who wins the election next year. So it must just be a little bit of a snit. It's a little bit of a, I'll do this, or just, it's something to talk about. One thing Trump is really good at, and I think the impeachment thing is a circus and lunacy. But have you noticed that this is kind of what he does? He throws stuff out there every day that competes with the impeachment stories. So you get something like the New York Times, and he knows that the press is so self-obsessed and self-worshiping that they'll have to go with that story a lot today. He canceled the subscriptions to Washington Post and New York Times.
I call it virtueless signaling.
Meanwhile, the people of the impeachment inquiry are going, hey, can we get a little oxygen here?
Nobody tweaks your funny bone like these guys. Eric Von Haessler, weekday mornings at 9, and Mark Aram, weekday evenings at 6 on 95.5 WSB.
I have so many things on my mind this morning. We were just talking about somehow Kashmir came up. So you saw Omar was being condescending with an expert or something on Kashmir.
With the policy person for the government.
I don't know. That's a Kashmir I think about sometimes, and I just think to myself, all right, you got one side, the other side, you got Pakistan, India. They're to fight over Kashmir, this plot of land. First of all, that better be the best damn place on earth. Like, if you're gonna, generations after generations are gonna fight over this strip of land, I'll bet you if you and I went there, we go, I've seen better. So how great can Kashmir be? But this is the way, if I was president of the United States, this is basically would be the thing. Okay, Kashmir, right. No, I'm not interested in going there. Does that surprise you? No. 99.9% of the people who have ever lived and died on this planet didn't give a damn about Kashmir. You wanna know why? Because you people are crazy to care this much. That's why. Nobody cares. So here's the deal. You care, and the rest of us can't understand why you care. So you do what you two are going to do. But here's the rule from President Eric Von Haessler. You're not allowed to blow up the planet over it because 99.9% of us don't give a damn. So we're going to win the day. You're nuts. You're nuts if you're having more children so there can be more soldiers in the future to fight for this strip of land. Is there even a sunglass hut there? What is there that is so, we have to have that land? It's a strip of land. See, the American spirit was, we got nothing going on in the East. Manifest destiny, right? Oregon Trail.
Right.
Let's go start somewhere else. Let's go to another land. Let's start there. Not hey, we got to have 7 more kids so that in 3 generations that'll multiply into many, many soldiers to fight over this land that doesn't even have a sunglass hut. Hey, is it true that a couple days ago Mayor Pete Buttigieg admitted to smoking pot?
A handful of times.
Of times.
They call me Mayor Pot.
Why is that question even asked anymore? Actually, there is a reason to ask it. Marijuana is legal in some states, still not legal in most states. But there is a reason to ask it because if somebody admits that they smoked pot and then they become president of the United States, I think it's morally wrong for their attorney general to in any way be a part of putting people in jail for doing something that obviously you can do and put behind you and then become president of the United States. It always annoyed me, before W got in with the war stuff and whatever, it annoyed me that it was a known fact that, he had his DUIs and he had his
Did a little cocaine now and then.
Everybody knows that. And I always thought, well, how can you, if you yourself did cocaine and you were never caught and you were never put through the system and you never went to jail, how can you become president of the United States and then have your attorney general put other people in jail for doing the things that you not only did, but were able to put behind you and become president of the United States? So I guess there is a reason to ask the question. I assume anybody who's running for president who's, under 40, which is not many of them. I realize most people running for president these days are between 75 and 90. But for the younger ones, it seems like a silly question. But now thinking about it, I do understand because I don't like the double standard. I did cocaine. I didn't get caught. My life wasn't completely derailed with prison time. I actually was able to get over it, put it behind me, and attain the highest office in the land. So the idea of that person being responsible for putting somebody else in prison for doing that. Kamala Harris, she used to put people in jail, and then she says she likes pot.
I love a little pot every now and then. Sometimes we get together and we have some wine, and then we talk about the book for like a minute.
In
and then
book club.
We gossip, and then I'll break out a marijuana brownie, and we split it, and we just laugh.
Are you laughing or speaking, Kamala?
I'm shooting snot out of my mouth.
Let's do this.
He's a misanthrope. He has a dark heart, and he needs a good psychiatrist.
New York.
It's Greg Russ with stories from Studio B1.
For all your Kamala Harris fans, that was actually Tim Andrews was.
Yeah, it was meta.
It's difficult when you laugh through your nose.
Or method, not meta.
You gotta clean your nose out before you laugh through your nose. All right, Greg Russ. I don't know if he's ever laughed through his nose. I don't know. I've seen him laugh. You ever laugh through your nose?
No.
You're not a nose
It's because
laugher?
there's a deviated septum and it doesn't work so well.
Oh, okay. You're not a nose laugher.
No.
Okay.
I would like to. It's just
Yeah.
not physically possible for me.
Yeah. Do you really have a deviated septum?
Yeah, when I broke my own nose.
Oh, that's right. You guys know this? Greg, I'll tell the story very quickly.
Yeah,
Greg,
tell my story.
I'll
Go
tell
for
your
it.
story. You're like 7th grade, right? And
Yes.
on his way
8th grade.
8th grade, on his way to some sort of school field
Washington,
trip.
D.C.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you can go to see the Lincoln Memorial or
This is
something.
funny.
Like that.
You tell the story where you only know sort of the details.
And then he fills it. And then he fills in the blanks. You know,
Okay,
that's the way.
okay.
It's like Mad Libs. So some kids were making fun of his nose. I won't say what they were saying. One kid. It was very
One
popular.
rascal.
Very popular.
One piece of crap.
He was known as the 8th grade influencer. He was a very important kid.
It was in gym class. I remember clear as day. So there was a guy named.
Don't say the name they called you because that will not fly. But go ahead.
Well, there was a guy named Moses, and he had a big nose, and this kid called him Noses.
Ah, this kid was
That's
clever.
actually funny.
What's he do? I bet he's a mechanic now on his 3rd wife.
Hopefully he's dead. That's what I wish for. Look, I don't pull
get
any
over
punches.
It was 8th grade.
I don't pull any punches.
Greg, it was 8th grade.
Yeah,
get
let it
over
go.
it. A lot of people were jerks in 8th grade. They turned out to be really good people.
I got beat up all the time in 8th grade.
So
it's an awful. You can't do anything when you're being bullied. Here's what happened with bullying for me. The first time it happened, I just thought to myself, why? What did I do?
Yeah.
And it was very hard to reconcile.
yeah.
And then you're in a situation where you can't escape these people. It's confined space in school. If you're in a workplace, that person would probably be fired.
Yeah.
Or if you're just in regular life, you can leave and not be around that person.
But no, you're a victim. You're a victim of bullying. You should write a book because that's big now. The bullying.
thing. It happens to everyone. But then there's just a hierarchy. It's I need some control, so I'm going to pick on that kid who's even weaker than me, and it just continues down the line to the last person who can't pick on
rolls
anyone.
downhill.
So anyway, to sum up the story, yes, he also then made a comment about my nose, and it got in my head, and I obsessed about it, and I pressed the bridge of my nose for years.
He used to put weights and stuff.
Oh my God.
That's when it finally broke. I had some curling weights, and it's bad. This actually leads into my first story.
Okay, good. I'm glad. But you don't care about your nose now, right? I mean, you got a
No,
fine nose.
it's fine, but I ended up breaking it, so I can't really breathe through it so well.
You can't laugh. You can't laugh through your nose. That's for sure.
That's awful.
All
Sorry,
right.
Greg.
I mean, look, it's fine. It is a ridiculous story. The fact it went on for years, I could not leave it alone. I became so obsessed about it.
I bet you it's the first thing you notice when you looked in the mirror every morning. So
Yes.
when you obsess on things, what I was thinking of, I guess you didn't break it this time, but when he was on his way to D.C., you were pushing your nose up against that bar on the back of the school bus seat.
Well, it was a charter bus.
Okay. And
But
you
yes.
were just like pushing your nose against it, trying
Just
to
as hard as I could.
Oh my goodness! All right, that's a sad, sad story. So,
But it's also a funny story.
It is.
In a vacuum.
You're older. You did all right.
I can laugh about it, but it was a point of shame too. I lied to my parents for so long. I was like, oh, the bus just slammed on its brakes, and I hit There was such shame I carried around.
I know, isn't it weird? When you're a kid, the things that you think are so important, because I think when you're a kid, even if it's not your priority, kids want to be popular. That's like the first thing is you want to be popular, want to be known as cool or something like that.
Or just not even picked on. That's true. But even at that point, it's like, why? Just leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me alone is more important than I want to be.
I got a feeling he was a weird kid, though. So I can understand how he... I'm not saying you invited it. I'm not going to ask you what you were wearing at the time.
Yeah, are you victim shaming?
I'm not blaming the victim.
It sounds like you are.
simply saying.
Like, what did you do?
I was cool. I was wearing that braided belt, those long braided belts that you would flip over and they hang down between your legs. Yeah, that was cool, Tim. Everyone's doing that.
You got about Greg before he was bullied. I imagine he's the kid in the corner, not talking to anybody, just snapping his fingers, making noises like.
Why would he interact with people? That's a product when you realize that people aren't receptive to that.
Right.
And then like, I'll just go do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
During nap time, I hated nap time in kindergarten.
So did I.
I never slept, and I would just lie on the ground and make noises.
You were that kid.
Oh, I hated nap time.
Just sleep.
Oh,
go to sleep. It's fine.
For lazy people. For lazy people.
See Jared's a nap. He probably takes naps now.
I love my naps.
It's nap time. Listen.
But the passing out from being drunk is not a nap.
Yeah, I take a nap every day. After
we're creative types. Naps were not good for us when we were kids. You, on the other hand. You were.
You're a producer type.
I like to have a fresh mind, and when I wake up, I'm just recharged and ready to go with bouncing energy and creativity.
The second half of the day in kindergarten was so much harder than the first.
The kids are sleeping. I'll make a plan for what we can do this afternoon.
Are we supposed to be getting stories from Studio B1?
So I said that this whole discussion leads into my first story. Thinking too much could cause you to die sooner. A study says.
Wow. Well, I mean, thinking too little can make you die sooner, too. I see these Darwin Award type people a lot.
But overall, this is tied to a protein called REST, RE-1 silencing transcription, which quiets brain activity. So researchers at Harvard Medical School analyzed post-death brain tissue and compared that with the tissue of centenarians.
100-year-old people.
Centenarians.
Yeah.
Centenarians.
No, there's no G in this one.
Oh.
Centenarians.
Yeah, centenarians.
You're thinking of septuagenarians.
Oh, that's right. 70-year-olds.
70s, right?
Stop thinking about it. You're going to die.
Oh,
Relax, everybody. We need rest.
In order for this to be true, the dumbest people in the world would live longest.
Yes.
So I'm doubting that because the dumbest people in the world fall off into the Grand Canyon trying to do a selfie.
But don't you think there's probably a spectrum, right? Like if you think too little, you'll die sooner, and if you think too much, you'll die sooner.
Yeah, but I think you're more in danger if you think too little. Like, I don't need to look both ways.
Yeah.
Like these kids.
What's this fence for?
These kids on the e-scooters who don't just fly through the crosswalks.
Do not touch electric fence. I wonder why.
Who says?
I ain't listening to no sign.
This fence ain't my daddy.
Yeah.
No, that's one of those things. That's not real. They're just putting that sign up. That's a lie.
Yeah, it's not really going to electrify you. Well, electric fences will not kill you, right?
No, but they hurt.
It's enough of a shock to make you not want to climb that fence.
You cannot touch it again.
You put your hand on it, and your hand curls on it like that.
Really? Oh, because the electricity makes you grab.
Yep.
That's the sneaky thing about. Alan? Just say something to me. Oh, touch it to the top of your head. Alan Hunt, the pilot of the spaceship, he knows how to test an electric fence.
You're going to torture yourself. Do it the right way.
You got to do it with the back of your hand. That way you don't grab.
And you have to make sure you put a wet sponge on your head.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that they were ever allowed to be legal.
Well, they're not going to kill. They're not lethal.
Cows aren't going to complain about it.
Well, I know. Well, it's
they
mostly,
have a thicker skin.
But I think junkyards and stuff now, they're to keep people out from getting in there and stealing parts.
Razor wire and electric.
Copper.
Copper, man. People love the copper.
Oh, yeah.
Go to new construction
abandoned
sites.
houses.
Yeah.
I go to new construction sites and I steal all the copper piping. And
then I sell it on somewhere. I don't know.
Buy heroin.
For a nickel a ton.
That guy. Yeah, it's a full-time job.
That's true. It's my side hustle. I drive Uber on the side, and I steal copper as my main gig.
I steal copper from my Uber driver.
Oh.
I tried to put it together. It just didn't fit. That was a bad puzzle. Next story.
Well, just to wrap this up, the people who die in their 60s and 70s have higher levels of this brain protein.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to think more, okay? Because I
had it backwards. They have lower levels of the protein.
Right.
So this is a good protein. This is a protein you want. And if you're thinking, you're depleting this protein.
Oh, well, you know what?
No.
It doesn't surprise me. Here's our latest advice. don't think so much.
Just watch
Yeah,
TV.
this is along the lines of your shampoo is killing you.
Yeah. Yes.
Baby powder.
Oh, yeah, that's
right.
another one. That's another one. Hey, I got an idea.
I've got clown lung because of all the talc I've breathed in.
Who told you to just keep piling baby powder onto your genitalia?
I don't like showering.
I kept my canary in the bathroom. The powder killed it.
Gave it cancer.
That's amazing to me. It's like, whoever thought, just keep pouring powder down there. That's good.
It does smell nice.
Johnson has to pay $80 billion because people are living longer because they're not thinking.
Big powder controls us all.
Big powder.
Sad news.
Yeah.
America's pile of uneaten bacon is the biggest in 48 years. That pork belly is just overstocked.
I don't understand that because with China, don't we get a lot of it from China?
No, we send it there.
We send it there.
Oh, that's why.
They have a huge
I
pork
had it
shortage.
backward.
They're sorry, Greg, but they're bioengineering giant pigs.
Yeah.
And swine fever has killed a lot of the Chinese pigs. So
I believe that the Chinese own Smithfield, which sounds like a good American Midwestern company or whatever.
Smithfield, North Carolina.
I think that they sponsor Eric Almirola. All right, Gregory, let's see if we can squeeze in another story from Studio B1.
Popeye's chicken sandwich is coming back, and they've hired a bunch of new employees to handle the demand.
Okay.
Even though we don't know when it's coming back. They won't announce the date.
You know what bothers me, and I don't want to get into politics here. So a couple days ago, was it yesterday? A couple days ago. Well, no, just as an example for the point I want to make. The Republicans stormed. Reporters were so lazy. Every story was exactly stormed. Republicans stormed into the closed-door committee stuff that's going on with the impeachment inquiry. And it was a stunt. It was a PR stunt. It was a public relations stunt. And it was called that. So we so quickly with politics, that's a stunt. But then Popeye's Chicken puts out a chicken sandwich for a while. They're like, we're out of chicken. And then suddenly we're bringing it back. And then all the news, they report it as straight news, as if this isn't a stunt. No, they really ran out of chicken. In this country, they really ran out of... There is so many... Do you know we must slaughter 9 billion chickens a day? If you think about all of the restaurants that you pass every day that are serving chicken, we throw out more chicken per day.
It's nonstop. It's hard to comprehend the number of chickens.
How many... So the idea that Popeyes ran out of chicken is absurd, but it's like the filler story and everything. I'll be watching like Financial News Channel, and they'll just... Popeyes chicken sandwich... Okay, this is manufactured hype, and I celebrate that in a capitalist society. But if we can recognize that the Republicans storming the closed-door committee room is a stunt, can we at least recognize that it's put it this way? I love Chick-fil-A. I haven't tried their new mac and cheese. I'm sure it's very good. It's not possible that it's as good as the hype has been allowed. It's just good.
You should try it first.
That's my anti-hype speech. Greg, I give you time to respond, but that music says no time for Greg to respond.
That's all right. I expect nothing less.
Yeah, I take it you're not going to be with us on the podcast 30?
Not today. When you're done recording the segments, I'll be back.
All right. Well, get on out of here.
Okay, bye.
Hour 2, the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. And I'm giving that negative finger to my iPad. Just know I got the pencil thing.
Yeah.
And I was writing a note, and I guess I went a little over to the sides, and then a thing drops down. It says, "This is conda." It says, "Try writing on the lines." What?
Idiot.
Made $1,000 for you. Shut up, and I'll write wherever I want to write.
What do you want it to say? Like, hey, I see you're trying to do something. Good job. But if you could just try and stay on the lines, please.
Hey, try writing on the lines.
Dum-dum.
Be yelled at by my iPad. I'm looking at CNN. How is this news? This is the bottom of it. They're talking to somebody. They got to fill the time. And if you're new to the show, I hate all the 24-hour news networks. Doesn't matter what their color or stripe is, who they want, what horse they're betting on. I don't care. I just can't stand the 24-hour
Even
news.
RT?
Well, Russia Today. Yeah, I don't like them.
Oh.
Fox News, CNN, MSNBC.
When you said RT, I pictured a football player.
RT Putin. He's the kicker for the Miami Dolphins, I believe.
Would you like the news? I will give you news. After I kick field goal, I will tell you everything.
So at the bottom of the scroll, they're talking to whoever they're talking to about whatever they're talking about. This is sources. Taylor testimony. That's the guy who was behind closed doors. Sources. Taylor testimony reverberating among Republicans. Is this a gossip show? Is it? How is that? And reverberating is in Italian, in quotes. Oh, it's reverberating. Now let's get somebody on and talk about how it's reverberating. Anybody willing to go on the record? No, but I'll tell you something. I have sources that tell me that testimony is reverberating among Republicans.
That's right, it is. It reverberated right over my head and out my window.
Who describes a conversation like that?
It is reverberating.
A millennial?
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
sending shock waves?
I'm pretty
then
sure.
I understand, or...
Yeah, it's reverberating. It's like there's a hubbub.
No, I understand what they're trying to say, but I feel like nothing has been described. Conversations aren't described like that.
Like, are you a gossip channel? Why don't you tell me what's going on behind the
scenes? You won't believe the testimony that so-and-so made.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe we can get some commentary on this season on Below Deck. It's reverberating amongst the cooks.
Ooh. The anchor drama reverberated through the boat.
Yeah, they think that so-and-so is a witch.
Think I won't fire someone on the charter? You're crazy.
Right. You know what's reverberating? The Von Haessler Doctrine. So let's do this.
More headlines for Friday, October 25th.
This is CNN's a gossip channel. Apparently the Republicans are all having...
Yeah, between that and the audible gasp earlier this week.
Oh, man, there's audible gasp. There's reverberations. I'll tell you, we got some big things going on. Bruce Springsteen. Hey, did you see this? I don't know what you're going to start with, but I'm going to start with this. I'm in a good mood, but I don't feel like following any script today. So
you're jazzed today.
I'm jazzed up.
Jazz hands.
You know why I'm jazzed up?
Trey foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups. Oh, baby, is he putting on a show?
I love baseball.
I was supposed to meet Trey Young today. I don't know.
You're not gonna now?
No. I'm supposed to. There's a 5% chance that it might not happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how
flying
somebody
back
puts a
from Detroit.
5% chance. That seems like a weird.
As the day goes on, the number gets smaller.
Well, the way they do it in the NBA, he has to fly to Detroit. So as I said earlier, I was in my bed going to sleep as he was leaving the court in Detroit last night, and then he's supposed to be ready to, goof off with a weirdo like me at 1:30 in the afternoon. I can understand if something were to come up. It's okay. So I'm in a good mood. But I think this happened. Was it yesterday that Bruce Springsteen was interviewed by Gayle King, or is this this morning? Kind of thing. But Gayle King over at CBS This Morning. They call it CBS This Morning, no longer with Charlie Rose. Because he is a horrible person. Charlie Rose and Garrison Keillor, I think, are opening I think they got like a food truck or something. They're new business.
Park will be opening the Me Too trailer where you can come and get some bologna sandwiches.
It's the Me Too food truck.
The Me Too food truck. Bologna sandwiches for everybody.
I guess Trump, I don't know if it was the last rally or recently, is still talking about how he didn't need Beyonce or people like that, or Hillary did. And he mentions Bruce Springsteen. Springsteen's got a new album out. I listened to some of it. It seemed kind of boring. Maybe I didn't give it a chance. I don't know. But and I think he's got like a documentary that's around that, so that's why he's doing the rounds. And so Trump brought him up.
And I didn't need little Bruce Springsteen and...
What happened there at the very end there?
And I didn't need little Bruce Springsteen and...
Was he saying and?
I didn't need little Bruce Springsteen and...
Not for nothing, isn't it Little Stephen?
Or him. Little Stephen won't play Sun City. They never did anything to him.
This is so Gayle King brings up, can you believe he's still talking about 2016?
He was implying that other people need to have all that help. He doesn't need that. And so he's going back to 2016, and this is now 2019. Are you surprised that he's trash-talking you after all this time?
Not really.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
I know.
I know. So, now, before we get to the further thing here with Bruce, I find that hilarious Because Hillary Clinton, every chance she gets, is still out there talking about how the whole damn thing was stolen from her by the misogynist Russian cabal.
They know we won.
I don't remember Gayle King laughing. Can you believe Hillary Clinton is still talking about 2016? And then Bruce lets us know how he feels. Turns out, spoiler alert, Springsteen, not a fan of the president.
It's just frightening. We're living in a frightening time. The stewardship of the nation has been thrown away to somebody who doesn't have a clue as to what that means.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have somebody who I feel doesn't have a grasp of the deep meaning of what it means to be an American.
You know what would be a good question for Bruce Springsteen? And I don't mean a gotcha question, but as I say, reporters are lazy. You talk to Bruce Springsteen, you know what he thinks about the president. It's, okay, let's get him on. We can get a sound bite out of it. But here's a good question. Has it occurred to you that politically, you and your audience in the last 20, 25 years have gone in complete different directions? Because Springsteen was the singer for the common man, the working man, the guy in the Midwest that the elites didn't care about. People who love Bruce Springsteen thought they loved a guy who would naturally be an anti-globalist because he's for the regular guy. He's for the regular. I think that Springsteen is still upset because if you think about it, the thing that he brings up didn't need Bruce Springsteen.
And I didn't need little Bruce Springsteen and
So I brought this up right after the election. That night before, you think about Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen used to be the working man's troubadour, right? He was the singer. He was the guy. He sang for the guy on the factory floor, not the management. Not the management. And what happened in that election was the guy who sings for the people on the factory floor said, you should vote for this person with the last name that has been in American politics for the last 30 years. You should vote. So he basically told his people, if they were the union people on the factory floor, right, you should vote for this person, right? And instead, the working man, who is Bruce's natural audience, decided to go with management and the billionaire and decided, Bruce, now, and he's kind of lost that crowd. The old Bruce Springsteen crowd from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that working class crowd are the people who stand outside 10,000 strong because they couldn't get into the rally. That is Bruce Springsteen's natural crowd. Policemen, firemen, working class. So wouldn't it be a more interesting question if I get a chance to speak to Bruce Springsteen, and I mean really asking the question as in having curiosity and not trying to indict with the question. That's also an old thing in America reporters used to do. Ask questions with genuine curiosity, not knowing what the answer is. That's gone now. Bruce hates Trump, got Bruce in an interview. Let's go for it. Let's get him on the record. We know what he's going to say. It would be great to hear him talk about, he has to be aware of the fact that his natural constituency is voting for a guy that he thinks this about.
It's just frightening. We're living in a frightening time.
Isn't that a good question? Why do you disagree with It's okay to disagree with your audience.
I mean, think about the poor Chinese worker who gets up every morning and now because of the tariffs, they took his job away and he can't make 10 cents a day.
I don't give a damn about my audience. They don't even know who Tom Joad is. They ain't never read no book.
Free trade! Free trade!
Come on, we got to get back in the European Union.
No borders. Everybody come here.
I'm a Remainer. It's globalist Springsteen.
We got a Cheeto in the White House. Cheeto and Chief.
Are you starting a motorcycle?
And the chainsaw.
Be the next Police Academy movie.
Hey, weirder things have happened.
All right, what you got? We have enough time for a story, or should I go? We have got Grandma Winnie over here. We haven't done this. Give me enough time on this, Alan. So Grandma Winnie is 100 years old. I love the way that these social media millennials respond to things like. Woo! So the thing is, she's 100 years old, and in the freeze frame in the video, it's an old lady holding a MAGA hat. And but the surprise is that at the end of the video, she throws the hat down.
Hi, I'm Grandma Winnie. I'm 100 years old, And all I want for my birthday is for someone to impeach this sucker.
And then online, oh my God! I didn't think she had a hat. I thought it was. Oh,
she's the thing we need.
And we have a actually. This is who's that kid who?
Eric Butts is his name. I know what you're talking about. The guy that reacts to Star Wars movies and cries.
He started crying in that Star Wars reaction.
Yeah.
We have him reacting to the Grandma Winnie video.
So it's this old white lady. She's 100 years old. And she's holding up Make America Great Again hat, the red Trump hat. And you can see that. So I have no idea what to expect here. So anyway, here is my reaction to Grandma Winnie.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Grandma Winnie. I'm 100 years old. And all I want for my birthday is for someone to impeach this sucker.
Oh, my God. She threw the hat. Oh my God, she threw the hat and she said, I want someone to impeach this sucker. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, you guys, Grandma Winnie is the most incredible thing ever.
Thank you, millennials, for elevating our political debate so much. Thank you. Okay, Eric, swallow. All right, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Look at the basketball here.
I'm ready to be a pro. Yeah, we're going to go. I'm going to have this Jared Yamamoto here. Fancies himself quite a basketball player. He's always bragging about his game.
Got a decent shot.
Yeah. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to take the basketball, and I'm going to have Trae Young critique him. Not in a negative way. It'll just maybe help him out, give him some tips so that he can have
the Hawks will sign me,
yeah, maybe they will. Maybe they will. All right, you got another story for me?
Yes. A majority of Americans believe the First Amendment should be rewritten and are willing to crack down on free speech as well as the press, according to a new poll.
Unbelievable. Of course, most of it comes from more than 60%. More than 60% of Americans agree on restricting speech in some way. 51% want to see the First Amendment rewritten to, quote-unquote, reflect the cultural norms of today. Should we rewrite it with every new day? Every day we have to what are the cultural norms? Who decides what the cultural norms are?
The newer generation.
Oh, people like you will decide.
Yeah. So just not mean, you know, you shouldn't be mean because that's mean. And why would you be cool with being mean?
Nearly 60% of millennials, respondents between the ages of 21 and 38, agreed that the Constitution goes too far in allowing hate speech in modern America and should be rewritten. 54% said violators should face jail time. Millennials believe that you should go to jail if they disagree with your speech. I'm not gonna play games here. Let's cut right to the chase. These millennials aren't smart enough to know what they even mean. They may feel good about what they're doing. They're going to clean up the world. But what it really means is you think it would be okay to put people into jail if they say things that you disagree with. I just want to say this. Thank you, public education teachers. Thank you very much. Thank you, sociology professors. Thank you very much. You've now graduated a group of Americans who a majority believe the First Amendment, basically, as it stands, should be abolished. Thank you, public education. And I'm hoping for this to be a good film. I saw a commercial. The sound was down, so I just saw the commercial for Harriet. It's a movie coming out about Harriet Tubman. And I'm hoping that this is a really good movie. Because everybody knows about the Underground Railroad. Maybe they've heard of the Underground Railroad, how much they actually know about it. But she's a fascinating life story. She lived to be 93 or 94. I think she died in 1908 or somewhere in there. And she did a bunch of different things. She's a very fascinating life story. Lived that old. Had brain surgery at one point, so that probably happened in the 1890s, which I didn't even know that you have brain surgery.
Hopefully they had ether by then.
Yeah, I don't know what surgery was like. Although it doesn't hurt supposedly. Brain, it doesn't. You have no nerves.
Getting in there might.
Well, getting in there might. Yeah, but once you get to it, you can. Because aren't people usually awake during brain surgery? I think you have to be awake because they want to know if they hit the wrong button. They want to know immediately that they're in the wrong place. So, yeah, there's no feelings once you get inside. There's no nerves in your brain. So you can But yeah, getting through the skin and drilling through the bone, that can be a little something. But but as I was looking, I was thinking, if there's so you've got a life story that's amazing. Should be you boil that down into 2.5 hours. That should be a real winner. The only way it will not be good is if they just treat her as a saint and not a human being. She's perfect. Well, she was a human being. And I think that when it comes to these historic figures sometimes, screenwriters forget that the journey of the human being, the flawed human being, the person who has to work through their own problems with other people and maybe we all have that side of ourselves that we have to work on. And our heroes are no different. And the movies are much better if you show a human being and the human struggle with themselves while they do. And my fear is it's just going to be something that appeals to millennials. And so she'll be created as a superhero, which in a way, in her own time, she kind of was. I mean, she lives up to the hype, but I'm worried that it will be, no, she was an absolutely perfect human being. No, she was just like everyone else, except she stood up and did something. It's like MLK is never really explored. He was not a perfect human being. Mm-hmm. He was a visionary, and he was the main reason that civil rights happened the way that it happened in this country. But he was a human being. Known womanizer, all of these sort of things. That's not something to say that, to me, that's not something that knocks somebody down. It says to other people who are living today who find themselves to be short of perfect, you can do great things too. That's the real lesson. If you just take the people who did great things and you present them as saints, then it makes other people who are alive today who know that they're flawed think, well, I could never make it. You have to be like born perfect, but no one's born perfect and no one is perfect. And everyone is a human being. Everyone is flawed. And when you tell the stories of people who did great things, I think they're better and more interesting if you tell it as this is a human being. But, she actually fought. Did you know that? She led a battle
in the Civil War?
Yes. She was also a nurse. She was a spy. It's a fascinating life. Married twice. Her first husband was like, I'm going to stay here. It's a very interesting story. All right, let's do this.
Wow.
What the?
Seriously, what the?
WTF with Autumn Fisher.
And one more little nugget you may or may not know. Harriet Tubman is going to be on whenever they get to it, I don't know if it's next year or the year after, is going to be on the $20 bill. They're going to take Andrew Jackson off. They're going to put Harriet Tubman on. What a lot of people don't realize is Hamilton was the first one that was supposed to come off. Was he on the $10 bill?
Yes.
Hamilton was supposed to come off the $10 bill to put, I don't know if they had chosen what other figure they were going to put on there yet, but he was the one slated to be removed. And then that musical got so popular, nobody gave a damn about Alexander Hamilton. And so in the middle of it, that musical gets popular. Trump says he likes Jackson. It's like, okay, I got an idea. Andrew Jackson's off. That's hilarious to me that a musical on Broadway made one dead guy from the past so popular that we had to stop thinking about taking him off the money and find somebody else. All right, Autumn.
He's had quite a history. He's on money.
Yeah.
And then a resurgence of being in this very popular musical.
And it just happened to happen right at the time that they were going to take him off the money.
Yeah.
Hi, call up.
Hey, come on, Aaron Burr was
Alex
a jerk.
Jones. Yeah, Alex Jones. Yeah, Aaron Burr was a
jerk.
He was a jerk. He shouldn't have killed that guy.
Yeah,
but
he would have been president.
My understanding is that those duels, they never, supposedly most of them ended without a shot fired. Right?
Really, I didn't know.
Somebody messed up, so you have a second with you. And the idea of the duel is we're going to either resolve this, or one of us is going to die, or both of us will miss, But most people didn't die in duels. It was just a showdown. Now, you showed up with your best man of sorts, right? And those two guys tried to work out a deal, right? And then if the deal wasn't worked out, then you have the duel. But then an awful lot of times, it was kind of an understanding that you're both just going to shoot the gun, right? The way that it was back then is if you didn't accept a duel, you were a wuss. And nobody wanted to be known as that.
You were
so
yellow.
They had all these kind of ways to get around it, and even to the point of, we'll pretend we're trying to shoot each other. Both of us just shoot a shot, and we go, okay, well, I guess we did that.
Yeah, you didn't want to throw away your shot.
Yeah, nobody's a coward. Oh, no, don't start singing the song. Don't start singing the songs. The only musical he's ever seen.
Not true.
I'm not gonna. It just seems stupid to me. I'm not gonna miss my shot.
My name's Aaron Burr, and I'm here to say I'm going to shoot Hamilton.
I
I
am not throwing away my shot.
Happily don't know any of those.
It's a good musical.
It's okay.
I think there will be revision. I think there'll be revision on that in 5 or 10 years. There's very few people that will speak up and go, "Yeah, it wasn't so great."
Yeah,
like what you just said. It's like it's like this. It's like the story in the local news about the 3rd grade math teacher that figured out a way to connect to his kids because he raps.
2 plus 2 equals 4.
No, it's like, I'm Mr. Davis and I'm here to stay.
Yeah.
We're going to learn math in a new way. Like that really, I think that the Hamilton lyrics are kind of on that level. It's absurd. But hey, look, they kept the man on the money.
Some songs are better than others.
I'm telling you, Alex Jones, there's a conspiracy here.
I'll look into it.
He was supposed to be taken off the money, and then all of a sudden, the biggest musical of all. Have you noticed that the guy who was behind that musical can't get anything going?
He can't?
That's not true.
He was on the Mary Poppins thing. Bomb.
He wrote and performed on Moana soundtrack.
Moana?
Yeah.
That's Disney.
And now they're making that
I love
into a
that
live.
soundtrack.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, he's tried a few. The Mary Poppins thing went nowhere.
He's doing stuff behind
That
the
was
scenes.
about-
It's like saying like the ladies in Beyond and Destiny's Child aren't
it's
doing
not.
anything
No,
anymore.
it's not. It's not like saying that because he put himself out there with the Mary Poppins thing that nobody wanted to go see. From the man who brought you Hamilton, Mary Poppins 2. I can't imagine why it didn't work. All right, I'm stepping on.
2.
I'm stepping all over.
Still popping.
Still popping. All right. What do you got in the WTS?
Experts have revealed that failing to wash your hands after leaving the restroom is more likely to spread a drug-resistant E. coli that's worse than consuming raw or undercooked meat.
And who does this really... See, this doesn't apply. It's interesting that you bring this story up, Autumn Fisher. Let me tell my audience a little something. I thought, Autumn, she's smart, she's funny, and she's a girl. And in the back of my mind, I thought, you want to have a girl in the Doctrinaires and people...
the fairer sex.
Yeah, people are attracted to girls. And then on one of the first shows on the podcast, this show started in my basement as a podcast. And on one of the first shows, she lets out the idea that she doesn't always wash after she goes because she thinks it's stupid. Okay, there. All the sex appeal of having a girl on my show went right down the.
You knew who I was before I said that.
You knew. So now, does this convince you of anything? This is not a good idea.
No,
This is how
because
people are
I've
getting.
never gotten E. coli.
Well,
and I touch my mucous membranes
No, you-
after I go to the bathroom. It's not a big deal.
I don't think. Can you? I don't want to get gross here. And scatological, but isn't? Would you give yourself E. coli, or is it giving it to somebody else?
Well, it's not like all my friends and family are constantly getting sick.
No.
You would give it to yourself, too, if you had it on your hands.
I
Yeah.
think you would too, but no, it's not happening.
I don't pay any attention to the poop science. I don't really know a lot about it. I got to be honest.
You really should look into it. I know a lot about it. If you get it on your hand, wash.
Look,
of course.
Just first of all, just wash your hands. Don't you just wash your hands just to wash them sometimes?
Yes.
Well, good time. Since we go to the bathroom a couple times a day, it's just kind of built in.
I'm busy.
Also, you're busy.
I'm busy.
I'm going
not
somewhere.
Eating it. I'm not eating
I'm going number 2, and I'm needing to be somewhere. I finish up, and then I go back to what I was doing.
And then you
which is
shake
like
hands with the person?
mixing bread.
Yeah.
Making meatloaf with your hand. The only good way to really mix a meatloaf up is to do it with your hand.
Here's the thing with Autumn. Ever since she let that little bit out about her personal hygiene.
Yeah.
I have, in my mind, I've thought if if I'm ever at her house and she's like, "Hey, we made stew." No.
Yep.
No one makes
Always
stew
go
with
to
their
a
hands.
restaurant.
we made
Always go to a
chili.
restaurant.
I don't
Always
care.
at a restaurant.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
That doesn't even make sense. You have to pick at least a food that I would have really been touching with my hand. I'm not mixing up the stew
it's
with my hand.
It's homemade pizza, Eric.
There you
I
go.
tossed the pizza pie up in the air. No
Yep.
thanks.
I dug into that that vat of shredded mozzarella and just
You were kneading. I don't want anything that you were kneading.
I licked my thumb, separating the pepperonis.
How could you not?
Anything you had to knead, I don't want to be a part of.
I understand.
Of your kneads.
Well, listen, no one's gotten sick.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying around.
Doesn't this frighten you, though? You have children, for heaven's sakes. Wash your hands for the children.
I do wash
for
them,
yourself.
just not. No, there's more. People are confused about where bacteria exist. It's not like it only exists in these sort of dark, dank places where gross things happen.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. A lot of times
just give up. Just don't shower.
Your toilet seat is cleaner than the inside of your sink.
Not mine.
You don't know that. You don't have a petri dish.
No, I had an expert come over. I said, "Will you tell me? Could you do the
toilet guy?
Run the test. Tell me which one's cleaner."
Listen,
the
just
toilet
because
bowl,
you
the
deem
sink.
that person an expert doesn't mean they were just there to clean your pool.
They were
and you were
plumber.
like, take a look at this sink. Is it clean?
There's water in the pool. There's water in the commode. This guy probably knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just here for the pool, sir. Do you really want me to look at your toilet?
Yeah, just look at the toilet. Can you tell me if it's cleaner than my sink?
Looks clean.
I'm doing.
Put some chlorine in it.
I'm thinking about becoming the new YouTube Mr. Wizard. I want to. I need some information. Are there YouTube Mr. Wizards? There must
No,
be.
that's a great idea. Nobody knows who Mr. Wizard is.
People know who Mr. Wizard is. He was a guy.
I know who he is.
His first name was John. His last name was Wizard.
John Wizard.
And people called him Mr. Wizard.
Honestly, I loved Mr. Wizard.
Yeah, he blew his hands off, didn't he, one time during one of those things? The children were horrified. This experiment got a little out of control.
The Von Haessler Doctrine. It's like an unshakable virus you share with your friends and coworkers. But in this case, after 4 days of forcing it on them, they'll thank you for it. Now, wipe those laughing tears from your face and go viral with EVHDoctrine.com.
Man, the weirdest things have been coming up in conversation while we're in break. Earlier, it led to me solving the Kashmir crisis.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And now you asked a good question. I don't know how it came up, but you asked me, what's that song that they play in arenas before sporting events? Yeah, it's like the lights go out. The lights go out, and it's like down, 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 and then the team comes out. I don't know.
It's not the Courageous Cat theme. It's something similar.
I don't know. I don't even know the Courageous Cat.
Down, 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 down.
But this is more like.
Is it the beginning of Eye in the Sky?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's kind of like that, though, right?
It's not. It's kind of. It's more of a funk song. No, it's not. It's not the beginning of Eye in the Sky because Eye in the Sky is more dreamy.
But it's not in the very, very beginning of it.
Right.
It's not that. It's not that. It's some sort of. Now I don't know if that maybe it was something that was sampled. It's not that. It's not. How do that? Hold on. Do that again. No, see, it's not that. It's.
What is this segment?
No, that's not the beginning of the song.
That's not the beginning of the song. That's not.
But let's keep listening to this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we get real excited for a sporting event for this. Here they come. Oh yeah, we're gonna kick on. We're gonna crush them. Let's go. Just like that year that. All right, hold on. Remember when Seahawks the second Super Bowl where they lost?
Yeah.
And they entered to the field to what was that? Something Symphony.
Yes.
I knew they were gonna lose. What is that?
Bittersweet Symphony.
Yes. When I came out to that, I was like, oh, you're gonna lose. The Patriots came out to Crazy Train or something. All right. Oh, was it Patriots? Yeah, it was the Patriots. Yeah.
Good WTF.
The best. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now.
The song is Mr. Sandman.
No.
Hey, this is Russ up at Ballground. I think the song you're looking for is by Styx. It's the start of Too Much Time on My Hands off the Paradise Theater album.
No, it's not.
Eric Von Haessler, you bubble-headed booby. The title of the track is Cirrus, and it is an Alan Parsons Project song. It's the song directly before Eye in the Sky.
Well, there you go. Okay, now we know what it is. Hey, hold on. Let's use it for what it's really for.
Trey, foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups. Oh, baby, is he putting on a show?
3 push-ups, baby. Yes, Autumn got that correctly, although she didn't completely get it correctly. She said it was the beginning of Eye in the Sky.
I didn't know that they were separate songs. I thought this was just the beginning of it.
You did not know. That's exactly right. I want to point out, you said it was the beginning of Eye in the Sky. It turns out it's simply the song before Eye in the Sky.
If you ask your Alexa to
Yeah.
play Eye in the Sky. This song will play first.
Hey, Siri, play Eye in the Sky by Alan Parsons Project.
Here's Eye in the Sky by the Alan Parsons Project.
Yeah? This is exciting. Siri?
Is she
Siri's
alive?
dead.
Siri?
She's dead.
Siri?
Oh, God. She's not breathing.
Siri.
Call 911. Siri.
Mine's changed to Siri. Let me down again. I was in my office. I redid my wife did all the work, but it's now a cool office. It was disgusting before.
Are you talking about in your house?
In my house upstairs. And so I have a cool office, but it's wooden floors now, which means there's an echo in there. And I couldn't. My two HomePod speakers were not. They weren't syncing up. So I was getting mono out of this one and then mono out of that one. I was getting very angry. And I realized, I think what was happening was the echo was creating a weird, different thing for Siri. But I thought, man, if there was a camera on this lasted about 12 minutes while I was standing in the middle of my office, echoing, Siri, play, and you get angry, as if this machine is really going to respond to the fact.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my voice has got all that. I've had just about enough of this nonsense.
Like, take it easy. I'm doing my best.
Relax.
It's weird. The HomePod Siri is a guy, and then my phone Siri's a gal.
You can change it.
I think they're married. They just double income.
But the one you just spoke to on your phone was a guy.
Was this a guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
There's
she's
another
not
one.
feeling well today.
No, there's one that's I got
Sorry, hold on. Let me find Alan who? You want to call Alan? I don't see Alan Parsons in your
Hey, how about this? Maybe it's not a laughing matter because my Siri is in transition. Are you mocking?
Bless them.
Huh? Her.
Bless them.
Them. Thank you. Thank you.
welcome.
Take it easy. I don't like your tone.
Hey.
Relax, Eric.
Hey.
I have a cold.
I got.
We just
I don't
did.
need your
Did that
problems.
joke.
Your HomePod, my HomePod, is supposed to sync up together and know what to do, and not mess with me. No. All right. Okay, let's do this.
Even more headlines for Friday, October 25th.
So it was called Sirius like the star.
It's still, you have to give me some credit.
I'm giving you all the credit.
No, you didn't. You looked at me dead in the eye and you're like, "You're wrong. You're fired."
That's my way of.
Hey, Jared and I gave you credit.
That's true. Thank you, boys.
Excuse me, we're men.
Boys. I'll take boys.
Thanks, boys.
Ooh.
Anything's possible.
I know.
That's the troubadour for the working class. You like this comedian, Bruce?
Anything's funny.
Anything's possible.
I've decided to make my music as flat and boring as possible.
Here we go. Here's a song no one will ever hear.
The Western Stars. No saxophone in this one. Really, Bruce? No, it's just me and a guitar.
He's orange. He's gotta go. He's orange. He's gotta go. He's orange.
Bruce, he's saying things that no one has the courage to say. All right, what you got going? Have we gone through all the audio here today?
Well, I've got some good news for Atlanta.
Good news for Atlanta. Well, you know what? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
sure.
good thing.
We've hadn't had enough good news.
Hold on to that Alan Parsons thing because I want to reiterate what we started with earlier about how I think the way the Democrat debate should start in Atlanta is well, let's just go ahead and do it now. Do you ready? This is the opening. The same way before your favorite basketball team takes the court, all the lights go out, right? And there's spotlights. And then rising from beneath the stage, here she comes. Uh-oh, what's going on? Oh, now there's a spotlight on the stage. It's Stacey Abrams is coming up through the stage, rising. She's now above the crowd. Boom.
Hello. Hi. Welcome to the Stacey Abrams debate. We're going to be talking about me.
Going crazy.
And the debate. We're talking about my voice, elevating my voice, sending my voice and power to each and every one of these candidates up here who I know will choose me to be the vice president.
And then at the end, when they decide who wins,
I did.
Stacey Abrams wins the debate.
Thank you.
Georgia's other governor.
Systemic.
Hey, listen, that would be great. You know what I hope in this debate? I hope that finally, at least one of these Democrats will use the term sustainability. You know, it's about I just don't hear people on the left using the term sustainability enough.
I hope the place they do the debate has sustainability and has a low carbon footprint.
But a sustainable low carb. It's not good enough to have a low carbon footprint.
No, it's got to be sustainable.
It's got to be a sustainable. That's their way. That's the sociologist way of saying, well, your idea might be good right now. Maybe your idea right now is better than mine, but is it sustainable?
Right.
Because if it's not sustainable,
is it recyclable?
No one alive knows what that means. Sustainable. As applied to politics and ideas in politics. I mean, you understand what the definition of the word is. Sustainable means you have to do it long enough that I either win the argument or everyone around me dies the natural death, and I just win by default. Sustainable. Nobody asks. You know what nobody asks? It's funny. Everybody's worried about sustainability. I haven't heard one single candidate ask if a $22 trillion debt is sustainable for the country.
What's that?
Let's just add to it. You have that audio. I know I'm jumping around here, but I want to make sure that we get to some of this.
That's another hype song that people use at arenas all the time.
Jump
too.
around?
Yeah.
How's that go?
Jump around.
Jump up, and get down.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Daddy Mac will make you jump. Mac Daddy make you jump.
I want sustainable farming. Sustainable.
We need a 5-year plan.
I wonder if anybody realizes when they're talking politics with me, as soon as they say the word sustainable, I continue to nod and smile because I'm a nice person, but I completely write them off at that point. Sustainability. I want, this Mark Zuckerberg, a couple days ago, was hauled up in front of these morons in the House again. And ostensibly the idea was we want to talk to him about Libra, his idea for a digital currency. But it was just everybody's chance just to beat up Zuckerberg. I don't know if you heard, but he's rich. And they got to break him up. Now they're talking about breaking him up. Not just his company.
Tearing him apart?
Dismembering him.
Let's take his arms off.
It's not good enough to break up Facebook. We need to break up Zuckerberg.
He is a robot.
And AOC took her shots at him.
This is my. So first, I want the first one. I want not to be about the question. About what I'm talking about if there was a Facebook ad. Give me the other one first.
Do you see a potential problem here with a complete lack of fact-checking on political advertisements?
Well, Congresswoman, I think lying is bad.
So you won't take down lies or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
No, it's not.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases, in a democracy, I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
so you won't take them
judge their
down.
Character for themselves.
So you won't you may flag that it's wrong, but you won't take it down.
No. And that's right. Just walk all over what he's saying. And somebody else was asking him another question, and as he started to speak, she goes, "Reclaiming my time." I would never make it in front of one of these panels.
I'd snap.
And I would be like, look, either you want me to answer or this is a way for you to get video for your next campaign. And I'm willing to play either game. But what I'm not going to do is I'm going to be here, just be a pawn, just somebody for you to knock around. I would lose it. I would. Hey, look, I wasn't born to be your whipping boy. Do you understand this? I'm here. Do you want to ask me questions? I'll answer questions. But this one other person asked me a question. This is a long indictment disguised as a question. And he literally gets 2 words. Well, Miss Congresswoman, reclaiming my time. Okay.
So you're saying you won't take it down, but you'll flag it, but you won't take it down.
Yeah, and also, it's a simple yes or no.
You can just answer with a yes or no. It's a yes or no question, which needs a yes or no answer.
It's a little more complicated than that, but I'd like to say, Congresswoman.
Right, but I'm asking you directly.
As somebody
would you take it down, or would you flag it simply, even though it's a lie?
It would depend on exactly what was in there, but no.
Right, so you're saying you wouldn't take it down.
I don't know that anybody hears anything I'm saying because you're just talking over me every time.
I'm waiting for you to give me a yes or no answer.
And then, so do you have the next one?
Yes, it gets juicier.
This one drives me crazy.
Jared, it's a yes or no answer. Do you have it or not?
I do have it.
So I just want to know how far I can push this.
I just want to know.
I just want to know. Hold on. But wait. So I just want to wait. Hold on.
So I just
how
want to
far
know.
can we really do this?
So I just want to know how far I can push this in the next year. Under your policy, using census data as well, could I pay to target predominantly black zip codes and advertise them the incorrect election date?
No, Congresswoman, you couldn't.
All right. This would have been my response if I was Mark Zuckerberg. You know what? You got me. I never thought, I thought Congress people were so stupid. I didn't think the American people would ever elect someone so brilliant, and I thought I'd get away with it. But, I might as well come clean. The only reason I invented Facebook was to create another tool to oppress people of color. There it is. It's out. I didn't think anybody would catch me because everyone in Congress was so stupid until you, such a brilliant person. So I'm just busted. It's the only reason I started Facebook, as a tool of oppression. I love the way in that questioning. Here we go. I always think like somebody's being held up with a gun there or something. Ah! That's what I get in my head. It's like somebody walks around the corner.
Yelling?
Yeah, like somebody walks around the corner and there's a guy with a gun and go, "Wah!"
Gosh, don't watch college football on Saturday. Then they play it at every arena.
No, I know. It's just the thing that comes up in my head. Yeah.
It does sound like a scream.
Remember that rumor about the song Roller Coaster when we were kids?
Yeah.
The scream at the beginning of it.
Yeah, there's a scream in there. Roller Coaster. Now you think you've heard probably the Red Hot Chili Peppers version, but in the 70s, I don't know who did Roller Coaster, but it was Ohio. Was
Cool
it
in the Gang?
No,
Ohio Players.
Was it the Ohio Players? Yeah, and it's a great song, and there was I remember being in like 5th grade or something. That scream is real. A woman was killed while they were. Was there any follow-up? I didn't see it. I mean, I don't read the newspaper every day. I'm in 5th grade. You'd think there'd be some kind of follow-up as to what happened. Yeah, she was shot right there in the studio. They kept it in.
They just kept recording.
Like, who comes up with the rumors for 5th graders, I wonder? Like there's a rumor mill. I won't even get into the one about, the gross-out contest between Alice Cooper and David Bowie that everybody in 5th grade was absolutely... Like, in 5th grade, your brain only goes for the sensational.
Yeah.
There's no reason like, well, it seems like maybe that would be something that my parents would know about.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a big deal. No, they had a gross-out contest on stage. Who planned that one? Hey, David Bowie's over there in the wings during this Alice Cooper show. Let's have a gross-out contest. I'm in 5th grade going, yeah, absolutely, man. I wish I would have been there. There we go. Is this the Ohio Players version? There you go. Boom. Oh, boom. 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 Oh, was that the lady? I talked over it.
No, that was a guy.
Oh. When does the lady supposedly get...
I thought that was it.
I think that was what people were talking about when they said it was a lady.
Say what?
All right. Then the Red Hot Chili Peppers did it exactly the same, except not as good.
Yeah, did they get money for that?
They did get money for that.
If you just remake a song and it sounds exactly like the original.
They had to pay.
I know they had to pay,
so
but...
whoever in the Ohio Players or in there, whoever wrote for the... Sometimes you think that the band writes it, maybe they don't.
Probably Holland Dozier Holland.
Yeah, something like that. Those are the guys behind the OJs, right?
Yeah, they wrote a lot of songs.
The Ohio Players, I don't know. I always thought that they played their own stuff.
Have you seen her?
If I find out that Wild Cherry didn't write their own stuff...
Ooh, you'd be devastated.
I will be devastated. Play that funky music.
Now you Google Love Roller Coaster and the first thing that pops up is the Chili Peppers.
Well,
that's not
because,
right.
Well, now hold on a second. Now let me jump in here for a moment. It is good because if they wouldn't have made it again, an awful lot of people never would have heard the song.
All right.
So maybe a lot of people go back and they hear the first song.
7 people wrote the song, and I can't...
7 people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put in the word love.
I'm the one who said go, yeah. I put in...
Yeah,
they're
that's
getting
me.
like 60 cents a day.
It's Dozier Holland, Dozier's son, Holland's wife.
Yeah, his first wife.
Anybody who was in the movie. How? 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complex of a song.
It was composed by William Beck, Leroy Bonner, Marshall Jones, Ralph Middlebrooks, Marvin Pierce, Clarence Satchel, and James Williams.
Well, Dylan wrote Like a Rolling Stone by himself. I heard there's 50 verses he left out.
You can't dance to that.
Yeah, you can.
Sure you can. Depends on Depends on what you've been drinking.
or smoking or...
Yeah. I tell you, there's a few things. Billy Beck was the screaming voice, says Alan Hunt, the man who flies the spaceship.
What does Alan know?
The Alan Hunt Project.
I never thought, going back and thinking about those rumors, and I guess urban mythology, because I brought up the Alice Cooper, David Bowie. Did you hear that growing up?
I did that.
They had a gross out contest on stage, which I can't get into here. But anybody who's listening to me that's my age.
Rod Stewart stomach pumping.
Well, Rod Stewart, it was like everybody.
Yeah.
Like after Rod Stewart, then I heard about Troy Aikman, then I heard about, it's like this urban myths that go round and round. But when you're in fifth grade, you hear them for the first time. However, but you don't have this reasonable part. Like if you're my age and you heard the Alice Cooper, David Bowie gross out contest on stage thing, if you had any sensibilities, you think, I think that would have broken numerous city ordinances. I mean, they would have been really...
It's so rock and roll.
Yeah. And there would be a news story about it.
Because in reality, you remember, I think somewhere in like 2007 or 8, the Stones were on tour. In reality, you remember there was a couple of days that Giuliani was thinking about arresting Keith Richards and Ron Wood because they smoked cigarettes on stage at Madison Square Garden. All right, that's the real world. And that's a world where the gross out contest between Alice Cooper and David Bowie just can't happen. Just can't happen.
They couldn't report on it. It was too gross.
Jim Morrison got arrested.
Well, he took his pants off.
No, he didn't. It was his hand.
Oh, it wasn't him?
No, I mean, he
was
pretended to do it, but he still got arrested.
He was playing that game.
Eventually.
There's a documentary. It's about 40 minutes long. I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe on YouTube, of the Doors. And it's around them for this one show. And this is when everything is going crazy. It's around the time that he's getting arrested during shows and things like that. And... at one point, I'm not lying about this. You know how security will ring a stadium if, say, the week before the fans rushed and tore down the goalpost, and the next game, security rings the stadium? There's one point in this documentary where Jim Morrison and the Doors are on stage, and there's no way the audience can see them because there's a phalanx of cops standing on the stage, not in front of the stage, surrounding the band. It's just a completely bizarre time. I want to hear the scream. Yes, Alan Hunt. Look at this guy. Ow! That's
it.
Do it again.
See,
do it
I
again. Wait, do it again. I spoke over it. It's after the owl. Ow! Yeah. When I was in fifth grade, we were all convinced. I don't know who told us. There'll always be this one kid that whenever he told you stuff about rock and roll, you just, for some reason, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, that lady really got killed. But they kept it in there. Yeah, I never heard anything more about it.
There's one rumor about the Doors. You know the song The Soft Parade?
Yeah.
While he's recording that song, Pamela's in the booth with him.
And something's going on.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's supposed to be true.
That's probably true.
Whoa.
Jim Morrison's actually true. The guy was nuts.
I'm a poet.
I have some things I want to say.
Okay.
They've been on my mind for the last few days. I might as well jump to the end of it, which is you're all fired. Just get out of here.
Okay.
No.
Bye.
Other things.
Have a good weekend.
I shouldn't have led with that.
Wow.
These are just things that are in my mind. One is, because the von Haessler Doctrine is here, not just to inform and entertain, which we do fabulously every day, but also here to help you cut through the clutter and maybe make your life a little bit easier. Because if you're like me and you're listening to a show like this, you're into current events. We used to call them current events. I go back to that. Current events. Not, I'm going to expose such and such and so and so. Current events. This is the way to make your life a lot easier. It may, like any kind of addiction, it may be difficult at first. But I don't think it's like a heroin addiction. It's more like just realizing you eat too many honey buns and stop eating honey buns. It's difficult at first. And sometimes you don't know that you're addicted to something. And so this is my advice. You can take it or leave it. If you take it, you're smart. If you leave it, you're not. That's my opinion anyway, on my advice. But if you want your life, if you're into current events and you follow things, this is what I'm going to say to you. Stop being a mental slave to the 24-hour news cycle. I'm not saying just the news stations. I'm saying stop being a mental slave to the 24-hour news cycle. Meaning things can happen, and sometimes you can say something about it, and sometimes you don't. And Sometimes you just don't care. See, the other part of that is if your favorite host or anchor tells you have to care, you don't necessarily have to. It is unnatural to be called to arms every single day of your life. And ultimately, the real deal is that the day you die, these arguments that you're so interested in will still be going on without you. It will not be resolved in your lifetime. Therefore, if you respond to a call to arms politically every single day, and you are unhappy if it's not resolved, put everything I just said together. You will die unhappy. You don't want to die unhappy. It's not going to be resolved. You have your opinions, publish, speak, do what you like. But stop being a mental slave to the 24-hour news cycle. It's unnatural. It's not real. And there are many people who profit from the fact that they get you to click again or not turn the channel. And I have no condemnation. If I had a website, I'd want you to click too. If I was running a 24-hour news station, I wouldn't want you to turn the channel. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with saying, I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, therefore, I'm going to eat them every day of my life. No matter how good they are, eventually you start vomiting. Because you're not supposed to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every single day of your life. So this is I just throw it out there to help people. It doesn't mean you have to disengage, go to an island, never read a paper again. Well, nobody's doing that, but you know what I mean. Getting informed again. It just means that, like at a buffet, you walk up to a buffet, right? Nobody thinks I'm going to eat everything on the buffet. It's just there available to you.
It's just a dream.
Well, maybe you could dream of that, but you would never think you could actually do it.
No, you pour gravy on it.
It's okay when your favorite host or your favorite anchor calls you to arms. It's okay to go, nah, not this time. Not me. I'm really actually not all that excited by this. What you'll do is you'll go outside. You'll breathe the fresh air. Maybe have a conversation with your neighbors that has nothing to do about politics. And sooner or later, happiness begins to creep back in your life. Doesn't mean you don't care. Doesn't mean you don't vote. Just means you have now stopped being a mental slave to the 24-hour news cycle. So that was one thing I wanted to get off my chest. But there's another thing. I've noticed with all this, again, because AOC went after Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm watching this, I do not understand. And I'm speaking to people like Anderson Cooper, grown people in the news. You may disagree with them, you may not like them. Wolf Blitzer, he's been around. This fawning for AOC. And I'm not talking about the politics. When she speaks, it's such lazy thinking. When she's going after Mark Zuckerberg started a company in his dorm room that took over the world. What are there, 2 billion people who are on Facebook in the world? All of the growth from the time that thing started to what it is today was all within the same time frame that LeBron James was in the NBA. Before that, there was no such thing as Facebook. So what the hell is AOC or anyone else who's being so high and mighty with this guy? What is their accomplishment? AOC read Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto. Good for you. Good for you. And then when AOC speaks, it's one thing for a 24-year-old to go, oh my God, she's wonderful. But for Wolf Blitzer to do it, it defies, and I'm not talking about point of view even. I'm not even talking about the politics, the policies that she wants to put in place or any of that. Just speaking style. This maybe it's a little bit in here.
Can we have to step back and acknowledge how bad inequality has become in America today, that we can name specific families that own our democracy right now.
Name them.
If you're like, who has power in America?
You're like
the Mercers, the Waltons, the Koch brothers.
Oh.
It's like the fact that you can name individuals that run our society tells us everything about America and our economy.
Tells us
and
everything?
You can call it late stage capitalism, you can call it plutocracy. I don't care what you call it. That is the state of our economy today.
How can we save the climate? I'm trying to have a nice life. I understand this completely, obviously. Even while I was on vacation, I woke up in the middle of the night at 3:30 in the morning, just concerned about climate change.
Go to therapy.
I'm 29 years old. I really struggle sometimes with the idea
she's
of
brilliant.
how to be a policymaker and potentially have a family in the time of climate change. And it really freaks me out, and it can be really, really scary. We are kind of blowing past a lot of the markers that scientists thought would happen years from now, and they're actually happening now. Our glaciers are melting, our sea levels are rising, and
First of all, no one will call. This is my question about AOC. And if somebody knows the answer and I'm wrong, tell me. Has she ever debated someone of substance who disagrees with her on anything? And here's a little newsflash, millennials. Twitter doesn't count.
Well, you don't put the right amount of importance on certain people.
Here's another thing I want to say. I only have a couple minutes here. And one of the best things anyone ever said to me when I was first doing stand-up comedy, I wasn't very good. Somebody who was a real comedian offended me at the time, but was one of the best things anyone's ever said to me. They said, "You've got good ideas, but you don't have you don't have a large enough vocabulary." So what does that mean? It's like, you got good ideas, but you don't have enough words at your disposal. You don't have enough tools in your rhetoric to get your ideas across. You need to go and educate yourself. You need to get a wider vocabulary so that you can give actual voice to what are some pretty good, legitimate, unique ideas that you have. And I was offended, but it was the best advice I ever got. And I want to talk to people who are between the ages of 25 and 40 and just tell you the truth. If you use the word "like" multiple times while expressing an idea, you are not to be taken with legitimacy as a thinker. "Like" really stands in for So the next time you hear AOC or anyone who's high and mighty and they're saying like, substitute and you'll know what a lazy brain they actually have. If you have ideas and you're young and you disagree with me and you want to give voice to those ideas, go in search of a wider vocabulary. Placer words like, do not get the job done. And if you use "like" over and over again while you're getting your ideas across, you're not to be taken seriously as a thinker. Sorry. Yes. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, we
I gotta get out of here. We're going to do podcast 30 STD tomorrow. Continue on the jury. Don't piss off the genie. Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Like current events and want to be the smartest among your friends? Then the Power Pod is the show for you.
The Power Pod is a weekly recap show where we cover the current events of the week.
It's a show where we're not afraid to get serious.
And we're not afraid to have some fun.
So try us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, the WSB Radio app, WSBRadio.com, Stitcher, CastBox. Okay. Anywhere there are podcasts, we are there. So power up with the Power Pod.
It's like the podcast 30, and I'm like really, really happy to be here because it's like really cool. And like my friends, like, what's the proper use of the word? My friends like Tim Andrews.
Tom Andrews.
Tom Andrews, his brother. Autumn Fisher, J-Rad on the tunes. This one's not annoying me too much.
I like this one, actually.
Disco.
What is...
This is Fool Showdown.
By the way, I'm glad you said that because he's not aware that he's a fan of disco. That's really
I
what
like disco.
EDM is really just modern disco.
No, it's a
connection.
There's some connections to disco for sure, but it's
modern disco. They're not. He's not saying
it's modern disco. It's modern disco.
You guys like to
I call it nouveau disco.
But you guys like to lump EDM as one thing when there's different subgenres of EDM.
I put it all in the category of crap.
Equally dumb music, right?
I know there's trap and hip and what?
Equally dumb music.
Equally dumb music, yes. EDM.
Get it?
Wow.
Look at that. Look what
That's
you did.
Hey, are you making fun of me, Autumn?
No.
Nice shirt.
Oh, I like the way that was a blast from the past.
I have that shirt.
Are you making fun of me, Autumn? Are you making fun of me, Autumn? No.
Well, I feel bad because I haven't been on Labyrinth in a while.
I know.
He
He complains about that behind your back all the time.
I do not.
Let me see your shirt again.
Whoa.
My older brother Mike, who was a biker in the 70s, there's a great picture I'm trying to find of him because all my older brothers are gone. I'm trying to find this picture that used to be what?
I don't know. I said brag.
Yes, I'm bragging.
Yeah.
All my older brothers are dead. So
weird flex,
yes.
Eric. Okay.
Okay, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
So there's a great picture because he was a biker. He was a real biker. And there's a great picture that we used to have on our TV because televisions used to be pieces of furniture. And
they did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he's on a Harley Davidson. I don't know where he is, middle of somewhere, on a straight road, and he's just standing up with his hands all the way above his head as the motorcycle's going like 50, 60 miles per hour.
That's cool.
He was a badass.
Yeah.
And he's got that shirt on, and I know that that photo has to be somewhere. I haven't really gone through all my mother's stuff. It's like it's in a storage space.
Who's paying for that storage space?
My sister, I believe, would be paying for it. Why, you think maybe I should? What was that, an indictment? How come you're not paying for it?
I have that as a long sleeve sweatshirt, and I'm standing between my grandparents in a picture holding a plastic baseball bat.
Well, there you go.
And I have it.
Yeah. It's a cool shirt.
I got this from Old Navy.
It was, because it's like that. Hey, and let's make it look like it's faded, like she's had it for 50 years.
Yeah.
But it's a different thing, collective mindset, than the rebellion that's going on now. There was the same split in society. There were the hippies, and they were against the war and whatever. But if you looked into the hippies thing, and I'm not going to be too much on this, but there was a little bit with the hippies of America is not living up to America's promise or ideals. Not America should just be torn up, chewed up, spat out. So symbols like that where it's the peace sign but done in an American flag kind of way, I don't think would appeal really to millennials.
I think I told you. I
love the millennials, by the way. I was told to say that.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but sometimes when I see people being patriotic, I don't know what. I guess I am being like influenced by a lot of what's going on, where I feel like it's like a little racist or something.
Well,
I get this weird twinge of like, I was in a barbecue place that's very into like firefighters and first responders, police, whatever. And they do a thing where they do the pledge of, or they stand up for the, now I said Pledge of Allegiance. Now I can't think of the Star Spangled Banner.
Right, yeah.
And I was really uncomfortable.
Oh.
But that means it's working. Well, it means it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. Jingoism is what you're worried about. It's called jingoism.
I don't know what that is.
Jingoism is when you use patriotism to convince people to do things that aren't necessarily the right way to go. Populism is not far behind. Excuse me?
Like on the war in Iraq.
Jingoism is country first, no other exceptions, no, you just follow. And I find jingoism to be abhorrent. But what we have now, and I don't know if there's a name for it, but it's almost like anti-jingo. However bad jingoism is by taking patriotism too far, the opposite is the big thing now, and it goes way too far the other way. It's the opposite of jingoism, where every day in my news aggregator, there's all kinds of headlines about a new horrible thing in America, a new class that are oppressed. They're like people you hadn't thought about. And it's, when this group tries to get library cards, it's what? It's like, there's always something new. So whereas jingoism is country at all, always exalting the country and the leaders no matter what, and militaristic, and while that's not a good thing, the thing that's going on now, which is new headlines every day about what a piece of crap country you live in, is the other aspect of it, where the reality is I live in a free country where I can question my leaders, I can publish my ideas, and it's not perfect. Wait a minute, let me look around. Oh, there's never been a perfect country in the history of the world. Maybe that's not the standard. And I know why you feel like that, but in that situation, you shouldn't feel like that, because you're amongst people who aren't. You know what I mean? How do you think a person who genuinely loves Trump feels? They can't even wear stuff. If you love Obama, you can have your bumper stickers everywhere.
My whole hat.
But people who vote for, the reason that no one thought Trump was going to win is because people were embarrassed. They didn't want to be embarrassed by saying that they were Trump fans, and they just didn't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. But when you go vote, you can do whatever you want. And you get a situation where you don't see Trump stuff anywhere. But when he holds a rally, there's 30,000 people there.
You put a sign in your yard, somebody will set it on fire, take it out.
So they don't do it.
Right.
I think it depends, though. Like when I was driving through Carrollton over the weekend, I was there for homecoming weekend. There was a lady that had a tent set up on a busy intersection in Carrollton, and it was pouring down rain. And she was out there with all of her Trump gear, all of her Trump signs.
But
and she was saying honk for Trump.
She doesn't count. She's an activist. So she goes and she's looking for that. Confrontation doesn't bother her. It's she wants to be proud. Hey, I'm supporting my president, and I don't give a damn what you think. I'm just talking about the average voter. I'm talking about people who don't really think about politics every single day of their life, but in a normal campaign might put a sign in their window to let people know. And no one felt bad about putting Obama signs up. Well, a lot of people didn't vote for Obama. But you have this thing now. It's a little bit. Imagine how a Trump person feels like when they're at a party. Like they're not going to speak up unless they want to argue.
I agree with you. I don't think that that's right. I do. I mean, just if we're going to be honest, if I see someone with a bunch of Trump stickers on the back of their car, I do judge that person.
Mm-hmm. Why? Through what lens?
It doesn't matter. It's just my first reaction. Yeah. It's not to say that when I meet that person, I wouldn't then do business with them, or you know what I mean? I wouldn't take it any further than that.
Right.
But I do judge it. And I don't think that someone is right to be doing that, but I think it's true. I think we all do.
Well, we're all prejudiced. That's the thing that no one will talk about. And by prejudiced, I mean we prejudge.
Right, and I'm comfortable with my own thoughts. I don't villainize my own thoughts. I understand that they're just thoughts, and they happen, and for some reason I think that way.
But an awful lot of people try to act like they're not prejudiced in any way. And we're all prejudiced towards something or some set of information. Or
it's a built-in system in our brains.
We prejudge
you have
people.
to judge. This is the analogy I always make. If a dog is walking towards you on the street, and he's got a happy-looking face, and his tongue's out, and his tail's wagging, he looks clean and happy, you're not going to be afraid of that dog. You might even reach down and pet it.
Right.
And then another dog is down there and he's looking mangy and he's all gross and he's like his tail is low. You might cross the street.
Yeah,
I take
not
him
because you have anything against that dog.
I don't know if that's a good analogy because I think that's just smart because the dog that's growling at you may be the one who actually bites you.
I'm just saying we all
my
have to use our brains to figure out a situation.
My prejudgment, I think that the example I use is, you see someone who's 16 who's pregnant. Now, you may not know that person. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, but you have a first impression and then you go with. Then you might meet that person and find. But the problem is people are so dumb now. They think the word prejudice only applies to color.
Yeah.
Right? People are not intelligent. They don't know what words mean. And a lot of this is because of so much how long it's been that we've been saying that's a word. We found out just this week. Lynching. You're not allowed to.
The L word.
I mean, I had no idea that was a word that you weren't supposed to use when Trump used it. So, if people are afraid of words, well, then you can't debate because some word will come up and will knock somebody off the game with the whole point. It doesn't make any sense. There's English Nick. Those are two words I love.
Yeah.
English and Nick.
English and Nick.
And when they're put together.
Oh, my gosh.
Can
English
I just
muffin?
say, the dog that's mangy and a bit dirty, I'm going to try and adopt that dog. And
I know, because you are a lesbian at heart.
That's right.
You will have as many rescue dogs
now,
as
Eric,
you possibly
wouldn't you
can.
also say you're a lesbian at heart?
I am. Well, we used to say that when we were when we try to brag about stuff we didn't know when I was a kid. I'm kind of like a lesbian, I like girls. I love those years. It's like going back to those
dirty
years,
jokes.
like when guys are together. We have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
Her boobs were like
Yeah. Well, be careful. Be careful.
Like if you had a bag.
It's more like you're not a guy.
Cheese.
No, it's not like that.
Cheese.
No, it's more like somebody says something, and then the other guy goes. The other kid, I should say, goes. They like that. That's the way they like to. And it's like a bunch of people talking. It would be as if you were talking about, I don't know, the Maoist revolution, but you're 11 years old. You have absolutely no idea what the hell.
Did you ever have
I'll tell you what girls like. Well, you're 12. How the hell you know what girls like?
Did you ever have the friend who's like, "Hey, I got this pair of underpants, panties. You want to?"
No, I don't know.
I had one of those. He goes, "Here, no, you got to do it." And
no,
I'm like, no, and
no. I didn't have weird friends.
Yeah.
We never did actions.
I didn't hang out with them after that.
It was just talking. It was just talking.
I knew a lot of freaks.
a couple times. Let's put it this way: I was never in a circle of friends. I never had experiences like that.
Well, every guy does that at camp.
No, I don't. Not me.
You didn't have a good
experience
at camp.
Always intrinsically embarrassed. Way too.
This
easy.
explains
Gotta
grow up a little
bit.
bit. Tim Andrews as an adult.
I never.
I mean, everyone had a camp counselor, right?
Let me just say this: the first time I ever had
show
sex.
You the ropes.
First time I ever had sex was the first time I had sex.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had sex.
This will explain Tim Andrews in a nutshell. I go from 6th grade to 7th grade, okay? 6th grade in my town, you had elementary schools. It was K through 6. Then you go to junior high, which is 7th and 8th, right? So I go in, gym class is over, and all these kids are getting in the shower. And I was like, a shower? What is this? This is nuts. I'm not taking a shower. And then they're all getting naked, and I'm looking at them going, oh, my God, they look like men. And I looked down at me, and I'm like, oh.
You did look like a man.
My little cash.
No, I did not. I didn't have any hair.
Yeah.
I hadn't gone through puberty yet.
I
didn't take a shower.
My raw almond.
I never.
Still looks like that.
I never once changed my clothes in a locker room.
Well, I did when I became a man.
I couldn't. I think when I was older, I joined a gym briefly, like 24 to 26 or something.
Yeah.
So there was that. But as a kid in a locker room,
what'd you see?
I saw things I cannot speak of.
Oh yeah, totally.
Shower time.
Or
did you see 70-year-old dudes drying off?
Oh yeah. No,
put up on the bench.
Truth is, my friend who I worked at the radio station I worked at the time, the radio station I worked at the time had free memberships to this gym. And my friend who worked there said, it's a great place. It's a great gym. And I decided I wanted to go to a gym. This is the only time in my life I've ever gone to a gym regularly. And after I've been there the first day, I'm talking to my friend, I'm going, yeah, it's a good gym and everything. Is kind of a gay gym, don't you think? He goes, yeah, it's great. Because you go to regular gyms, and it's like all muscle heads yelling, ah! You get none of that there. People are cool. Okay, that's fine. But then what I noticed was they had the steam room. Not the steam. Is it steam room?
Mm-hmm.
No,
sauna.
No, because the steam room, I had an incident in there that was scarring. The sauna.
Things come out of the steam. Let's just say that.
Like a London evening in the 1800s.
Hello, love. Evening all.
So in this gym, they had the sauna. And there's a little window in the sauna, but if you looked out the window, you know how the benches kind of go like this? So if you sat and looked straight out the window, you could just watch people undress and dress at their lockers. Oh, yeah. So I'd always look for who was the person who positioned themselves right across from that window. But the steam room, that was a whole different thing. That was just, it looked like at Atlanta, they don't have this anymore, but that smoking area they had at the Atlanta airport.
It's still there.
You can't see anybody inside.
Right.
It's just all smoke.
Yeah.
So there was this room, and you open the door of glass. You could see through it, but you couldn't see anywhere. You couldn't, if you put your hand in front of your face, you couldn't see it. It was just all steam. I thought, okay, I'll go in there. And I went in there, and I couldn't see anything. But I started hearing stuff.
Hey, buddy.
No, not like that. It was more like...
Whoa. Jared's got the sound effects, apparently.
There was...
they were clapping, Jared?
Yeah, they were clapping. It was a Broadway show.
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow.
There was saliva involved. And I walked in, and you know me, I've never had any problem with anybody or any kind of person in the world. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with people. I was never born with that thing inside of me that said, you're different. I don't
understand that.
But I have an intrinsic embarrassment, though. I don't like to be privy to other people's privacy.
Private.
Like here's the thing. I think what separates me from most people is if someone you know falls asleep and starts talking in their sleep, I think most people listen closer. I leave the room.
You're right.
I don't want to know anything other than what you present to me as who you are. I don't want to know what's behind the curtain. It ekes me out. Whatever you present to me, however you're facing, okay, I'm just going to accept that, and that's going to be cool. I don't want to know. And so I stepped in, and I heard, I did.
Ew.
I did. But I couldn't see a thing. No, it wasn't real. It wasn't over the top. I couldn't see a thing. They could have been 5 feet away, 10 feet away on the other side. I have no idea. But I quickly just exited, not because I was, and I want to make this clear, not because I was grossed out. Mm-hmm. Not because I was offended. I mean, it is a
You're
public,
embarrassed.
It's a because I was intrinsically embarrassed. That's what
matter. It doesn't matter that you were at a gay gym or in a male.
That's what I keep telling myself.
If you were in a male locker room and heard that, it's about if you walked into a place that was co-ed. You would also want to leave.
Well, there have been times over my life. My wife and I think I said this last week, but I repeat myself. I said that last week, too.
Parties.
My wife and I.
Several parties where lots of wine, and then they start seeming like a swinger thing is about to happen.
Well, it's not even that. No, usually it's not that. Usually what it is, I met this person, and she's really nice. And so she and her husband invited us to go to dinner and one. And there's sometimes there's been that little thing. That little thing gets in there, and I immediately go cold inside. Just like
I don't want no weirdos or sexos in my house.
I don't want weirdness. I don't know. I'm not into weirdness. Nah. I'm not saying that alternate. Oh, wow, I apologize.
Jane, you're so
everyone knows
small.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Eric, you're so tall.
What they do is they tell stories about maybe the other time, it's like, oh no, it's
you guys have never had a couple of balls?
And then Eric's insides are just like.
It's actually pretty exciting.
The last time it happened,
it is.
And my wife it was that kind of thing. I met so and so, and blah blah, and we're I think we went to what's that Swiss hotel where they used to have my picture on the wall, but
Swiss
they took it down.
Hotel.
The Palm.
The Palm. They would come in all the time.
Yeah. So we went to the Palm. I remember. I think it was one of those type of restaurants, and I went cold inside because I felt like it was. I don't know if it was going to drink, but my wife later on told me that, like, she got the signal from me. Within 5 minutes, she was like, "Oh no, Eric's going to hate this whole thing," and she was absolutely right. Like, I hate that couples thing where I don't know I got to be his friend because you're her friend. I mean, it's worked out a couple times. Some of our best friends, it has happened that way. But
but
a lot of times,
like 60% of the time.
It's
like when friends, like we were saying the other day, when groups of friends get together.
Yeah.
It's just forced most of the time.
Right. And I got to have conversation with this guy, and he's a dummy, and he's only with her because they love having sex together.
Dummy. Oh, well, sex is sex, dumb
I
or
don't want
otherwise.
to talk to a guy who's a dummy. And then she's going on, and then she's like,
the dumb ones sometimes are.
Hey. They're smart in one man, pants smart.
Tell them what to do, right, Autumn?
That's right.
That's right.
Power bottom.
Caveman.
Hey, how about topping from below?
And then I remember the lady that she was like
Someone just rang my
constantly.
doorbell.
She was real, like. You know when somebody like suddenly starts telling you about their panic attacks or something, you don't know them.
That you don't know?
I don't know.
Personal details.
It's like,
too early
it's all
on.
about her.
Too much.
The other guy's eyeing my wife. I got to hear about her. I had a panic attack in the airport. I don't care. Look, you're 35 years old. Figure it out.
Have you ever lost your bag at the airport? And it's like, oh, God.
Well, I just have starvation anxiety.
Yo,
so,
yes,
like,
yes.
I get so crazy at an airport. Like, I'm not hungry, but what if I get really hungry on the plane?
So immediately, as she's telling these stories, I'm realizing this guy, no, I had to do this, and the kids had to. And I'm just thinking, well, I would not be with you for 2 days of my life. I mean, everybody else has to drop their lives because you can't handle the world?
Well, I was freaking out, and I asked to be
Yeah.
put in the zone before boarding or whatever, and they wouldn't let me. And so I was freaking out.
And in reality, she was trying to describe it as if she was trying to let me know about this condition she had. And I immediately, I know your condition is you're a drama queen. You like that everyone else has to drop what they're doing and attend to you and make sure that you, God forbid, there be, thousands of people in the airport who don't know you and don't care about you and aren't interested in you. Now you've got to become the center of attention.
Yeah,
that's what okay? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you okay? I
Fine.
saw you. Okay.
I mean, you were telling me that you were a gold
I'm
card
fine.
holder and you deserve to board in Zone 1. And that is
No,
ridiculous.
it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. She wasn't like complaining. It
No,
was
I
like,
have a
I
condition.
genuinely, I can't
couldn't breathe.
handle airports. Well, you know
No,
what?
I just can't.
And I should have said, well, I can't handle being here right now, but I'm going to sit here through the meal and dessert.
You should be like, I know exactly.
I know exactly
what
how you feel. Not wanting to be in the place you find yourself in. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I know exactly how you feel.
Now you relate. Now you relate to her, finally.
So is the Trae Young thing still on?
Yes, everything looks good.
All right, yeah.
Trae
everything looks good. Yeah.
Trae foul, puts it in! A three-pointer, does a couple of push-ups. Oh, baby! Is he putting on a show?
No, he was, I'm going to let him know.
Football.
He
Go
was,
sports.
He was robbed last year of the Rookie of the Year, and I think it's in his mind. That's why opening night he went out there, 38 points, knocked the crap out
And
of
he
it.
crushed it.
He's 21, man. He's going to be
He
a
sunk
superstar.
it like nobody ever sunk.
Is he going to be excited about an old man?
You know what? Here's
Wanting to creep him out.
Here's the one thing. He's used to a lot of old men being around. He's in the National Basketball Association.
And he went to Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not. I'll be hip and cool compared to some of the people this guy has to deal with. Promotions guys who've been around since the Wilkins years.
You need a lady? I get you a lady. You need a lady.
Hey, I got a gift card to the Cheetah
No,
Club.
he's a solid kid. For 21, man.
Yeah.
But I think that he was. I mean, to opening night, even you can be impressed by that, Autumn. Opening
I'm
night.
impressed. I know.
On
I
the
know
road,
all about it.
in Detroit.
Got her hoodie up. She's so impressed.
Yeah, she's gangster.
There was more malice in the palace
Yo.
when Trae Young showed up. But that was
Spaghetti,
awesome.
spaghetti.
He started. So that thing that you heard there, this was after he was just knocking it all over the place.
Yeah.
And then it was a 3-point shot, and he was fouled, and he fell to the ground. And he does 3 push-ups before he gets
Yep.
up.
Who'd they play?
They played Detroit Pistons.
They take on the Magic on Saturday. That's
Here-
going to be
I'm
the
thinking
home
about
opener.
going. I'm thinking about going.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe put him on the spot. Be like,
should take
"Look,
us
one more
all."
time."
No, I can't. Here's the thing. I can't.
Can I get tickets?
I can't do that because people who are listening are already going to be cynical. This all started last year. You know that because of client stuff, I attended a few Hawks games, but I wasn't really interested in the team. I was mostly talking to clients. We'd watch a little bit of the game, but I wasn't really all that interested.
Well, prior to Trae Young being drafted.
Yeah, prior to Trae Young. And then we did one. I went with George Stein, and we got those seats that were courtside. And thank you, George.
He is exciting.
And I watched, and so I saw Trae Young live for the first time.
That was
right?
against the
Cavs.
Cavs.
I was actually against Detroit.
Yeah,
and so the difference of that time was 2 nights later, I go to sleep early. So I turned out my lights and everything, and this is what tells you that this kid can be a star. I was not interested in Hawks basketball. I turned out the lights and everything, and then I remembered, oh, Trae Young is playing. And I got up, turned on the lights, turned on the TV, and he just put on a show, went crazy. And so I became a fan for that reason. And I feel like he's a superstar, a budding superstar, and most of Atlanta, doesn't know that.
Well, aside from Joseph Martinez.
But I also want,
Trae Young is probably the next best.
The point I want to make is I can't take free stuff from the Hawks because I think that a lot of people are probably cynical and think that nowhere, Eric's talking about the Hawks a lot, so they probably think that I'm getting paid to be a booster. When in reality, the truth is, I didn't watch the team hardly at all. I saw him play for the team, and that made me want to get interested. And if I start accepting, one time we accepted free tickets, and I told everybody about it.
Right.
But I don't want. It's genuine. I enjoy watching them. I think they're a fun team, and I think maybe they can make the playoffs this year. This is still a 2 or 3 year process.
And we've only seen one game.
I know that. But
I mean, Autumn was telling me.
Autumn said don't put in too much. Why are you mocking me?
Oh, Lord.
She's doing hand signals for you. You should take us all to the game, Eric. I would like to go to the game.
That's expensive.
You're supposed to wear your Halloween costume.
Early Christmas bonus.
Saturday night. You're always busy.
No, I don't have to be out there until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but the game doesn't end.
Game's at 7:30.
I'll just bring my clown costume with me for Halloween.
No, Tim Andrews will just leave me hanging.
Yeah, don't get one for me.
Tim will be.
I went to the bathroom last night during the movie, and then I came back in, and then after the film was done, which was about 11:30, everybody came out and, we thought you'd all leave.
Yeah.
Or we all thought you'd leave.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you didn't.
Had a reputation.
Also, I'll tell you this.
Shut up, Jerry.
Do you go very often to a Hawks game?
I do a couple of times if I can.
It is. What I love about a Hawks game is it is the opposite of what we're told the world is every day. Mm-hmm. A Hawks game is a lot of fun, but it's black people, white people, Asian. It's everybody mixing together. It is the coolest vibe. It's a really cool vibe. I went to a couple Falcons game. I'm sorry, there was no vibe. The ones that I went to, there was no vibe.
I was surrounded by
a Hawks game has a really, really cool vibe. I mean, people it's just fun to be there.
Last Falcons game I went to, I was surrounded by Eagles fans in the end zone.
Oh, they must have been disappointed.
They were like very, very drunk. But anyway, Atlanta United's the same way. The atmosphere there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. All creeds, all colors. It's amazing.
I want to go to United.
Yeah, you should.
I want to go to
next Wednesday.
Game.
We could all go.
That's going to be a big game, but that's the problem is.
Save it for the final.
People don't want you to cheer. They're already talking to T-Was for you not to cheer for United. You did a great job last year, and they won.
Yeah.
And right now they're getting hot at the right time.
Please cheer for
stay
them.
away. They're saying stay
I
away.
think you should cheer for them. Do what you want.
Why? Why are you rooting against them?
I'm not rooting against them. I think you should be
bitter.
You should be positive.
Mr. Old Man.
You should be positive no matter what. No matter what. I'm not knocking whatever that game is.
Even Autumn would enjoy it. If she went to see the Hawks. She would enjoy it.
I love it.
You would enjoy it.
I like basketball in person is so
Is there
more
beer?
fun than.
There's beer?
Yeah.
Is there a hot dog?
Yeah.
There's no stopping the action.
Are there guys?
Yeah. Only they do
it's a good show. It's a show.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that bothers me about the way sports shows, like they just cover celebrities, really. That's what I've realized watching a lot of sports shows. They think they'll give all this stuff and talk about how to build a good team and what is a good, but in reality, they'd rather talk about LeBron sucking than somebody else doing good. It's like LeBron's the story. If he's winning, he's the story. Mm-hmm. If he's losing, he's the story. And they don't tell stories about, hey, here's a team that's getting pretty close. They may not be there yet. Interesting young team. It's just like the other news. It's just like if I put the word LeBron in there, they'll click. So that's what I'm going to cover. And I understand that to a certain degree, but there's not enough coverage. Like I'm a football fan overall, right? I love the Bills. I love the Falcons, but I also love the National Football League. And when I watch these shows, every day it's the Cowboys, it's the Giants, no matter if they're good or bad because they're in New York. Meanwhile, I'm thinking in the back of my head, man, I thought the Chargers were going to be better this year. How come they're not? No coverage. Like, I know that you're not going to win by picking out the teams that nobody and constantly talking about them. But if you're watching shows about football every day, you should know, hey, what's going on with the Chargers? I thought they were pretty good. Why aren't they winning? Isn't that worth 3 minutes or 5 minutes? Or do I have to listen to people debate whether or not Dak should get paid for the 9,000th time?
I mean, you get
Jacksonville
that.
Jaguars had to win 10 or 11 games that one year, And they went all the way to the AFC Championship, and nobody talked about them. That's how it'll be for the Buffalo Bills this year. No one will mention them. If they beat the Eagles this week, it'll be, wow, the Eagles, that's 4 in a row.
Now we know who they are.
Who have they been? Right. Like the Bills,
the
Bills will have to win 10 to 11 games before anybody goes, hey, what's going on in Buffalo? When in reality, whether they win or they don't win, what's going on there is an interesting football story. It's being built exactly the way that all of these pundits say you should build teams. But they're not interested until, like, people will talk about the Hawks today because Trae Young tore it up and scored 38 points on opening night. But if you're not doing that, no one's interested in that story.
Eric, people like winners.
I do
They
see
like the
I
celebrities.
understand that, but the Warriors were interesting before they became what they were. But we didn't know about it.
All they got to do is take their football analysis they do on Sunday and spread that out throughout the week because they do mention every team.
They have to just a little bit, yeah.
I do see controversy from ESPN. They say that instead of comparing Trae Young to Steph Curry, you should compare him to Steve Nash.
No,
instead.
that's not controversial. That's true. That's true. He's much more likely to be the next Steve Nash than the next Steph Curry.
Autumn went to sleep.
His shot looks a little bit like Steph Curry.
Autumn was the one that sent the article out.
All right. Sorry, Autumn. Boys will be boys.
Sausage. You need a donut.
Hey, stay alive this weekend. I need you as an audience. Keep yourself alive. See you Monday.
I'll bring the bagels.